If you're a heat and air conditioning technician or even a salesperson, what's a word track that you could use to talk trash in a very nice way about your competitors' products, and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Bell, coming to you live for HVAC Technician Sales Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales and business, and a fantastic day to talk about you. There's going to be a point where you sit down with Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, and you're up against a competitor, and I'm going to put competitor in rough terms, that has a less quality piece of equipment, product, or service than you do, right? And you know it, and it's probably the budget option that, for whatever reason is picked because people just don't want to spend the money, which I'm not knocking. We've all been there in life. Sometimes people just don't want to spend the money, but they do ask you for your opinion about the product or the service. And this is where being a true pro and understanding why what you have to offer is better and why you have a better outcome is because sometimes it's the explanation that people don't want to have. Sometimes it's the conversation that people will say, like, I don't know if I want to have that conversation, but they're willing to listen, okay? So, I used to hang out with a couple of doctors, and they would tell me, hey, people didn't ever want to hear about their cholesterol, and people didn't ever want to hear about all the things that were bad for them, so they would have to put it in a way to grab their attention. Like, hey, maybe you don't want to hear this. Maybe you need to hear this. Is this something that you are willing to have a conversation about? In the business world, people will say, are you open to, right? Is it a possibility that you want to hear this? Are you open to this? And the reason I'm going deep on giving you this explanation is you have to be aware to set the scene of the direction that you're going to take this conversation so that you know and that they know that you are both on the same page. Now, here's the thing. If you want to be better at sales and you want to be good at what you do, you should absolutely be doing my email publication. Just go to this URL, type it into a browser, and I'll give you the goods. Not in the Facebook group, not in the YouTube channel, which means private coaching, private training, discounted coaching, discounted training. It's an email publication. So if you're like, hey, Scott, I don't want emails, don't sign up. You're like, Scott, I really want some emails from you. Sign up, right? So, let's say that you're talking about your competitor's option. One of the things that you could say, buying this product or service will always be the cheapest part of your investment, right? And what you're alluding to is that there's going to be issues in the down road. So you may down the line. So let me explain what I mean by that. So making your initial purchase is always going to be the cheapest part. And let me explain what I mean by that is what's going to follow is going to be more costly. So it doesn't matter what you have to offer. Every industry's got a budget product that isn't that good, that is good enough. And there are people who get talked into it because they get caught up on price. The initial point, you need to explain this in multiple different ways. I'm going to give you a couple different ways to explain this. The initial purchase will always be the cheapest part. Let me explain what I mean by that. It's the continuity fees that are going to cost you. Making the purchase to get started is always going to be the cheapest part. Where they're going to get you is in the subscription fees. Making the initial purchase is always going to be the cheapest part. Let me explain what I mean by that. The warranty is going to be the thing that gets you. You're going to constantly have to fix this thing. So what you're saying is look, I get it. It's low dollar. It's a low dollar option. And yeah, that's always going to be the cheapest part. This is always going to be the cheapest part. This is always going to be the cheapest thing. It's always going to be the cheapest issue. But let's get you over the hump and let me show you the other side of the rainbow. Let me share with you what you're going to be up against. Today, that's always going to be the cheapest part. Completely understand. Let me share with you what I mean by that. That low cost has to be covered somewhere. And where the XYZ company is going to get you is on the maintenance program, right? Where they're going to get you is on the warranty. Where they're going to get you is on the subscription fee. We all know for whatever industry and service that we're in, here's what you need to know. You're going to get paid somehow, right? Either way, you're going to pay. Either way, you're going to pay. Either way, you're going to pay me up front, or you're going to pay me on the back end, but most of the time that back end money is going to be hidden. So I'm taking a whole bunch of word tracks and I'm stacking them. I'm putting them like Lego. I'm okay, I got to show you the other side of the rainbow. The cheapest part of this solution is always going to be the initial investment. Either way you're going to pay when it comes down to it. What you could do with word tracks is start putting them together and build one good monolithic script. But what you don't want to do is just keep saying and because and yes. And you want it to be more impactful. If it was me and you, and you were buying a phone, right? This is a mid-level Samsung phone, and I bought it because it's got an SD card, because I got a terabyte of music, okay? So let's say that you really wanted me to get a newer Samsung like S25 or whatever's out right now. And you'd say, hey, Scott, right, that the cheapest option you're going to have is always going to be the A54 that you have. But where Samsung's going to get you, and I'm totally making this up, Samsung, where Samsung's going to get you is going to be on the subscription where you're paying, $30 a month to get everything you want out of your phone. At some point, it's going to go that way, right? So I'm giving you a ridiculous example to show with you, like, hey, you could literally talk about anything, any product, any service, and paint them the other side of the picture. Like, look, the cheapest part of anything you're going to do is going to be today. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's go to the other side of the rainbow. Let's have this conversation. Here is what you're up against. And you have to have the sales cojones. It's a technical term. You have to have the sales cojones to be able to have that conversation and say, I got to show you what you're up against. Today is always going to be the cheapest purchase. Where you're going to get destroyed is on the back end. That's where everybody makes their money. Either way, you're going to pay. And then you kind of just got to let that person process. Just let them process. It's going to take about 3 to 7 seconds. And then just ask, is that the direction that you want to go? And they're probably going to say no. And you know what you need to do. Let's get this taken care of. Right? Really calm. Really, I'm a little bit amped up because I'm on video. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button. Click on it. And every time I get it, I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.